all for being here, and thank you, Orlando and Mr. Camacho and the Family Engagement Center for putting this on. Usually we have our fifth graders come into the building during the month of May for an orientation where we give this presentation, we give them a tour of the school, but obviously because of COVID, we can't do that this year. So hopefully this presentation will give you and your children a better idea about what to expect when they get to Roosevelt next year. So I'll go through the presentation, and then Mr. Camacho will speak a little bit about the Family Engagement Center, which is a great resource we have. And then I believe we'll have time to open it up for questions. All right, so here's Roosevelt. It's located at 119 Frederick Street, and the hours that we're open are 7:45 to 2:30. So here's just a list quickly of our administration. Dan Basalt is our principal. We have 3 assistant principals and 2 content instructional leaders who are all considered administration in the building. The content instructional leaders are basically supports for the teachers, especially in the areas of English and math. And then here's our list of our support staff. We have 3 guidance counselors, myself and 2 others, 3 school adjustment counselors, and a wraparound coordinator who helps support students and families both in school and also with community resources. So we have a lot of great supports at Roosevelt for the students. One thing that I just wanted to note before we move on, each grade is assigned a team of an assistant principal, a guidance counselor, and a school adjustment counselor. So for example, this year I'm on the 6th grade team with a school adjustment counselor and an assistant principal, and we each travel with the students as they move on throughout middle school, so that way we get to know the students and the families really well by the time that they graduate. All right, so here are some of the major differences, I would say, on what to expect coming into middle school versus elementary school. Different teachers for different subjects, lockers, higher expectations and more responsibility, learning a middle school schedule, and finding a peer group. So I'll go on and talk a little bit more in depth about each one of these. Different teachers for different subjects. So in elementary school right now, your kids probably have 1 teacher for all of their academic classes. In 6th grade, they'll have 2. So 1 teacher for math and science and 1 teacher for ELA and social studies. And then one of those teachers will also be their homeroom teacher. Homeroom is where the students go first thing in the morning to kind of get situated for the day. That's where the teachers take attendance and the students eat breakfast and go to their lockers, which I'll talk about next. So lockers are, I would say, probably one of like the big fears that we hear from students coming in. It's definitely a change, an adjustment from elementary school. But each student will be assigned a locker, and it will be right outside of their homeroom. So they won't be having to travel all over the building to get to their locker. But they'll come in the morning, they'll put their stuff in their locker. And it's great. You know, a lot of teachers allow them to go in and out of their lockers throughout the day to get what they need. I know that the combination part of it is kind of, you know, a scare for some students, but each student will get their own locker combination, and the teachers give plenty of time on the first week of school to learn that combination. Higher expectations and more responsibility. Just in 6th grade overall, the teachers, you know, the school as a whole tries to foster some more independence and responsibility for our students. You know, they'll be required to learn their schedule, to keep track of assignments and upcoming tests or quizzes, just like learning those, you know, organizational skills and time management skills that maybe they had a little bit more help with in elementary school. We try and teach a little bit more independence at the middle school level. Learning a middle school schedule. So the schedule might look a little overwhelming at first, but it's actually pretty easy once you get the hang of it. There's 6 periods throughout the day, A through F. For the 6th graders, you'll have your unified arts classes the first 2 periods of the day, so A and B. And then C, D, E, and F, you'll have your academic classes, which are math, science, social studies, and ELA. The unified arts classes are pretty much what specials are in elementary school. So like math, gym, health, art, humanities, research and technology, which is like a computer class. So they'll have 2 of those classes as well as their academics throughout the year. Lunch is from 11:15 to 11:45, and the kids will travel with their homerooms throughout the day. So they'll be with the same group of students throughout the day. Finding a peer group. So this is one of the cool parts of middle school. It can be a little overwhelming coming from a smaller elementary school, and when they find themselves in classes with kids from other schools that they don't know. But what's cool about it is there's so many different types of students, that they can become friends with and find that they have common interests with. So we find that like a lot of students that maybe didn't kind of find that group of friends in elementary school find it in middle school. A good way to find or make friends is to become involved with after school sports or after school clubs. It's a great way for kids to find other students who have similar interests as them. And I'll get into some of those later. And then just a couple more things. We have a different grading system. So I believe elementary school uses number grades. We use letter grades, and then no more recess, which is always a bummer for students. But we have gym. Every student will have gym, and lunch, which is also a time for kids to interact and be social. So here are some of the after school sports and programs that I mentioned. Both boys and girls have different sports options every season: soccer, basketball, volleyball, flag football, and wrestling. It's really a fun way for students to get involved. I coach the volleyball and basketball teams, and it's just really fun. The kids love it. It's something to do to keep them involved after school. But if they're not into sports, there's a lot of clubs, and they don't have to be involved in just one thing. Like they can choose multiple things to be involved in. So there's a list of the clubs right there. I won't go into each one of them, but some students have an idea of like a club that they'd like to start. And if they can gather a group of students and find a teacher willing to stay after with them and support them, then we can do that too. When the year starts next year, these will come over like the announcements, and a paper will be passed around describing each one of these clubs. So the students can just be on the lookout for that. Another thing that will be new to navigate is obviously the building itself. It's probably a little bit bigger than most of the elementary schools, which can be intimidating. But once you get the hang of it, it's actually not too bad. So we have 3 floors at Roosevelt, or we call them houses. The first floor is the greenhouse, second floor is the purple house, and third floor is the blue house. You can kind of think of it like nature. That's usually what we tell the kids to help. Green like the grass, purple like the flowers, and blue like the sky. Again, the students will be traveling with their homeroom classes, and the first couple weeks at least, the teachers will walk them to their classes. So don't worry about getting lost. There's a lot of help. We want to just make sure we just touch on bullying. Obviously, it's something very serious, and Roosevelt takes it very seriously. We want all of our students to always feel safe and comfortable in school. So if for any reason, they're being bullied or teased, or there's any issues with peers, we encourage them or parents, guardians to report it. Report it to either a counselor or an administrator, and we will take the appropriate steps to investigate from there. And then the same goes with cyberbullying. Unfortunately, with all of the technology and social media use, we do see some of this. So again, just report, whether it's you, a student, or a friend, don't hesitate to report and we will investigate. Some ways that the students can help themselves be successful: make sure they get to school on time every day. School starts at 7:45 and instruction starts at 8 o'clock. So we don't want students coming in late because they will miss out on valuable instruction time. Make sure they're getting plenty of sleep at night. This is super important, in order for your brain to function. You need sleep. So we recommend 8 hours of sleep, and that is super important. And then find a place where you can study and do your homework, and make sure that you complete your work on a daily basis. This has been especially important this year because so many students are working remotely. Just finding a quiet place at home somewhere, or if home is, not always quiet, we encourage students to go to the library or stay after school with teachers. Just finding a place where they can focus on their work really helps. I mentioned that there's a lot of support at Roosevelt, especially with all the counselors that we have. So here's just a brief list of what the counseling department does on a daily basis. Classroom guidance, which are like large group guidance lessons where we go into classrooms. We do something called a needs assessment for our sixth graders to get an idea of, the types of needs that our students have, whether it's issues at home, issues at school, like study skills, social skills, anger management, social emotional issues, just so we can get a better idea of our students and how we can best support them. We run small groups, again, for like study skills, social skills, anger management, kind of whatever we feel like the need is for. Individual counseling, we meet with students individually on a daily basis. If students are having issues at school with peers, academics, at home, they come to us and we, work with them and try to support them as best we can. Create student schedules, meet with parents. We frequently communicate with parents. So if there's, or guardians, if there's ever an issue, don't hesitate to call us and we can always set up a meeting, whether it's just with us or the teachers, to come up with a plan on how to best support your child. We make referrals to outside agencies. So sometimes students need some more support, like counseling referrals or after school support programs, things like that. So we are very in touch with community agencies on behalf of the students, and we coordinate and plan events. Lastly, how can families help their children? I would say just the overarching message of this slide is just, the school and the families working together, being on the same page, keeping the lines of communication open. We are all here for the goal to help these students succeed. So I think, the better relationship we have with each other, the more communication we have with the teachers, with anyone at home, definitely makes such a difference in the success of these kids. So again, calls, emails are always nice, and just, being involved with your child at home and helping them with the organization and the time management and their schedule. Those are all really helpful for us.
Hello, guys. Hi, families. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Jose Camacho. I'm the Family Engagement Specialist, and on behalf of Roosevelt Middle School and the staff, we want to welcome you. Please feel free to pass by our center. It's located at the back part of Roosevelt. That would be Rodney Street. We operate from 8 to 4 weekdays, except Thursdays. Thursdays, I'm here from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. What we do, so we provide multiple resources and referrals, such as clothing, food pantry for families, referrals for mental health, housing. We have computer access for all families to utilize for resumes, job search. We provide workshops on multiple topics, Plus, you can see me as a bridge to communicate to the teachers, to the counselors. If you need a meeting, you need to talk to one of them and you can't get through. So you go through me and I can get to them. So just feel free to pass by. My extension is 32511 and my number is 774-473-8810. I'll be putting it on the chat and you can start. Even though the kids haven't started, you can come pass by the center. You can come in, you can see the center, what we're all about, and you can enjoy it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to call me. Please feel free to pass by, and I'm here for you. Thank you very much for being here once again.